Everyone. So in this video, I wanted to take everybody a little bit behind the curtain here and do a computational example and show how the method of sealed bids really is not hard to compute especially with the assistance of a spreadsheet like Excel. So I'm going to share the screen, and the screen I'm going to share is going to be uh, one of an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm going to look at this example that I had in the previous video, where there was some furniture, or sorry, some assets to be divided, and we had these various tables. And I'm going to see how we can calculate this. And we'll put some new values in here just to see what we're dealing with here. So okay, so for the house, let's say this house was really not as nice as last time, and maybe they had different valuations than we gave last time. So I'm just putting in some random numbers, but yeah, this is all a part of this first um, uh, step in the method of sealed bids. So what needs to happen is each individual, in this case, Beth, James, Nancy, and Peter, need to write down their value for the various assets. So I'm just doing this now. The car, I don't know, is really not as good. And we can just go ahead and enter in some numbers. And Peter, I don't really thinks the car is not good at all. Let's assume the furniture is actually pretty nice. So 60,000 thereabouts, and 50,000. And I'm putting in some kind of, as I said, random numbers, but what I'm trying to illustrate here is that you can really do this pretty efficiently if you know how to write down a little bit of formulas in Excel. And I'll talk about that just briefly. So let's say the art is really great, and everybody wants some of this art. So much more than the house. Okay, so now we're done with step one. Every single individual has made a bid on one asset. And what are we going to do now? Well, now we need to allocate the assets. So how do we allocate the assets? Again, we look at the house and we look at the various bids and we find the highest bidder. In this case, for the house, it's Peter. We'll have Peter be the highest bidder, and we'll say that Peter wins here. We look at the car, and the highest bidder for the car is James. And so we go ahead and award the car to James. We look at the furniture, highest bidder, Nancy. Nancy wins the furniture. And we look at the art, and James again is cleaning up here. Well, maybe. I hope the art's worth that much. It's 300,000, and James gets it. And so now we can say, okay, well, what are the items received? Beth gets nothing. James gets the car and art. Nancy is getting the furniture, and Peter gets the house. Wonderful. Now, what is the value received? Well, nothing has zero value. The car and the art, again, there's not an objective value here. So the car and the art the value we're talking about is the value according to the sealed bids. So the car and the art are 300,000 plus 12,000. So that's 312,000. The furniture is just 70,000 according to Nancy. And Peter valued the house at 300,000. Okay. Now we have fair share value. Well, that's already calculated here. And how is that calculated? Well, if we look, you might have noticed as I was entering the bids, these numbers down here for total value are changing. And that's because if you look up here, up in this top bit, that's a formula in Excel. It's basically calculating the sum of everything above it. So if we did it here, for example, yeah, this calculates the sum of everything above it, and it'll produce that sum down here. So it's a little calculator working in the background to give us the sums of the bids, the total sealed bids for that individual. Fair share value, though, is just uh, exactly this cell's entry divided by 4. So if you see this formula here, that's saying C7, and C7 is column C, row 7. That's this thing that's in blue here, divided by 4. Okay, great. So this is the fair share value. It's the total value given by, uh, well, the total value according to that player's value system divided by 4. And what we can do here is we can just take these I'll just take these fair share values and I'll copy them, and I'm going to just paste those down in the down in this column. Great. And now I want to calculate whether whether the player or the person owes the estate money or is going to receive money from the estate. Well, how much value did Beth get? Beth got nothing because she didn't receive any assets. But her fair share value, according to all of her bids, is $130,000. So the estate really owes her $130,000. And you'll see that these numbers down here are going to change. I'll explain that in a moment. James is getting $312,000 according to his bids worth of assets in the car and the art, and his fair share value is 128,000. And so we should just say, okay, well, we want to actually subtract off because we need to talk about how much is going to the estate. Um, we need to take the fair share value and subtract, oh, sorry, the value received and subtract off the fair share value. So we can calculate that by just saying, okay, well, this entry, 312, is in D13, and we'll subtract off the fair share value, which is in D14. And similarly, in fact, you can use that formula, which is just saying take away the fair share value from the value received in each of these columns. And there's a quick way of doing that in Excel, or even if you're using something like Google Spreadsheets, you can also do this. You can just take this corner here and pull it over, and it will calculate that same formula applied to these two columns. Great. So we've calculated how much is going from the state. From is in the parentheses, so the state owes that player money, or to the estate if it's not in parentheses. And so then this number here is just the sum of those 4 values, where the red is given a negative value and the black is given a positive value. And so when it calculates that sum, it's saying, okay, how much is the estate getting? Well, the estate gets a total of $139,500. And this is in this sort of initial settlement. Well, maybe this is the initial settlement right here, which is the items received and the to and from estate. But now we need to get the surplus and the surplus division. So we calculate the surplus by saying how much the estate gets, and we divide it by 4. And then finally, to get the final settlement, well, the assets go the way that they go. So I'm going to move this down a tad, and I will try to clean this up. Oops. I'm going to clean this up a bit, make it pretty, well, pretty for someone like me. Sorry, this is not so pretty to you. And I'll merge these guys, and I will give myself final settlement here. And what am I going to do? I'm going to take the assets that are going to the various people, I didn't actually give myself their names, so let me do that too. All right, go down here, merge that, and I'll give myself their names. That. Great. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to give myself the items received. That's what's happening here. And then in order to figure out how much cash that individual gets, well, if they get from the estate, they have to have that amount coming to them. So there's a negative amount there, plus the surplus division. So they will get Beth will get the surplus division. And for me to calculate that, I have to look, it's in column C, row 18. So I say that's equal to column C, row 18. And then I'm going to subtract how much they're getting, how much they're giving to the estate. So if they're getting, that subtraction becomes that they're getting more. And so in this case, it's C15. And let's see. Okay. What that should do in this case is saying, okay, well, the state's giving Beth 130,000 plus the surplus division, and that gives you this number. And again, well, you have to do a little bit of something tricky here. You have to keep that C so that it's not moving. So I'm going to do that. And when I do that, I can do that trick I just did a minute ago. I can drag that formula over to get the remaining amounts. So this is how much cash each individual is receiving. And if it's in red, that means that that individual owes the estate money. And if it's in black, they're receiving that amount of money. And then, of course, we have the assets up here. And this gives you your final settlement. So my point of going through this is to, A, take you a little bit behind the curtain. You can calculate these things fairly easily. Even if you have a lot of assets, it's not too hard to calculate these things. But it really does help to have a spreadsheet or something around to just sort of make some of these calculations on the fly, make them automatically. All right, guys.